a very warm welcome to Cricket Fables with Jamie and Neha. And today we have a very special guest with us. And let me tell you, I've been fortunate enough to talk to and interview a lot of sportsmen and women. But whenever I speak to this gentleman, I always have a smile on my face. He's got a great sense of humor and can discuss cricket. So, Rohan Gavaskar, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to the both of us. We've had a lot of conversations. Yes, go ahead.
Do you have a smile on your face because I call you Meha and not Mega? Is that one of the reasons you have a smile on your face?
Or Neha.
So for Neha. And why Rohan is saying this is because we used to have Krishnamacharya Shrikant for almost 5 years. He used to be on my show every day. And for those 5 years, I had to correct him almost every day because he called me Mega. That's where this whole story comes from. But Rohan, thank you so much.
No, absolute pleasure.
We've got to start this chat with that incident of you on one of those best buses. We've got to. Let's just
But do you need the censored version or the uncensored version? I need to go with that first.
Uncensored, always.
Uncensored. Okay. So I just want to know if I should watch my language or mind my language or not. So this was when you can beep it up. This was, I think, under 15 or under 16 days. Me and Ajit Agarkar used to live next to each other. So after practice one day at Hindu Gymkhana, which is on Marine Drive, we were taking a bus back. And for some reason, practice on that day got over a little late. Or I think we stayed back to have some safe puri, lala puris at those on the lawns of Hindu Gymkhana as youngsters. And like I said, for some reason, we missed our normal bus timing and we took a slightly later bus. And this later bus was packed. It was about 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the evening. So it was packed, people returning home from work. And obviously, it's Mumbai, Bombay back then. Everyone was tired, dog tired after work, just wanted to get home. And there suddenly are these two young kids with their big kid bags trying to wiggle their way into the bus and, try and find a little corner. But obviously one gentleman had enough of the day. He probably had a really, really shit day. And obviously, maybe my bag sort of nudged him a little bit. I can't remember. But he just turned around and said to me, "Kya re, BC, khud ko Gavaskar samajhta hai kya?" At that point, Ajit in Marathi is telling me, Gava, don't say anything, just keep quiet, don't say. I said, what will I say? I should have actually turned around and said, samajhta ho, Gavaskar samajhta ho khud ko. But at 15, all you wanted to do was finish practice, get back home, have dinner and go to sleep. That's all you wanted to do. No confrontation whatsoever.
Yeah, fantastic. When I heard this story, we laughed so much. This was after, I think, one of the shows you told me this story. And I just thought that was so hilarious. But I remembered this being, khud ko kya Gavaskar ka beta samajhta hai kya? Or was it
khud ko Gavaskar samajhta hai.
Yeah. I'm sure there are many such instances. Rohan, yesterday we were doing a live stream and somehow the topic, because India had won, the topic went into people's earliest memories of Indian cricket across formats, famous test wins. And we had a lifelong discussion. I want to ask you, because obviously growing up in the house of one Sunil Gavaskar, beyond that, what are your first memories, of the game, and then, your earliest, most memorable matches?
Well, so my early memories of the game are honestly, there's no pinpoint memory that I can pinpoint and say, okay, this memory is my earliest, because as far as I can remember and as far as I've been told, I was obsessed with cricket since I was really, really young. I mean, I used to sleep surrounded by stumps and bats. There'd be like a bat above my head, above the pillow. There'd be stumps on the side. So I used to sleep like that. In terms of matches, again, obviously, I went to a lot of matches as a kid. The ones I remember were clearly, I remember, the '85 tour of Australia where my dad got 200s. I remember his one day 100 very vividly in Nagpur. I was there. Uh, I remember when he went to play for Somerset in 1980. I was there for that part. Also, when you're 4 years old, you can easily miss school. It gets tougher to sort of bunk school as you get older. But these are memories. I remember being part of, not being part of, but I remember going to Sri Lanka with them on tour. I remember a lot of test matches in India. There's this one classic story of, I was in the dressing room back then. Obviously, kids were allowed. I mean, kids were allowed in the dressing room. It's all changed now.
Yeah.
And the team left. Or were about to leave and they couldn't find me, and they were like, "Where's Rohan? Where's Rohan?" And I had apparently fallen asleep in my dad's kit bag. So I had those coffins that you had, and I was a little kid, so I just got in there, made myself comfortable, and fallen asleep there. So that's another early memory that I have. But as far as I can remember, I've always been, not always. I was obsessed with the game from a kid till the age of about 12, 13, and then for a while football took over because my school, unfortunately, didn't have any cricket. Didn't really play cricket. Football was the sport that everyone played. And then if you wanted to impress the girls and, be that proper jock, you had to play a sport, right? So since there was no cricket, I had to play football. Otherwise, I would have met my wife, who was in school with me. So,
Wow.
yeah. So look, so football took over for a while. But then again, when I started playing cricket, since the age of 15, at age group level, again, that sort of took over.
Okay, so shall we talk about the series as well? India,
Yeah,
England.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry.
370.
You mean India, England B?
Yeah, India,
Yeah,
England.
not India, England.
We knew that was going to happen the moment it wrapped up. KP and all these guys.
That was the first. We had Nick Knight on our one of our lives, and that was one of the questions I asked him. I said, rotation policy and all of this is fine, but if this goes awry for you, everybody's going to turn around and say, "Oh, but you guys didn't play. But England didn't play their best team." I said that's not fair. This is ridiculous. It's like,
yeah. Look, I mean, you look at the side, and you think like, look, the players that come in, they would have made a difference, but look at the margin of defeat from England's point of view. Would they have made that much of a difference that they would have made up for more than 300 runs over the course of the game? I don't think so.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing. I know that people have been talking about the match since yesterday, but I wanted to bring your attention to something that Ashwin said in the press conference yesterday. And he talked about that how, as a cricketing community and as India with so many fans, people who love cricket, how people need to be more accepting of a young player when he comes into play instead of taking out faults and negatives and loopholes in his game. And he gave the example of Cameron Green from the Australia series and talked of how everybody in Australia said he was the next big thing. He didn't do much, but then that people didn't really go after him, after the series ended. And he said that gave him massive perspective on how in our country we treat our players. This was in response to a question. I don't know if you've heard this press conference. This was in response to a question that was asked of him on Rishabh Pant and how every time Rishabh Pant did something wrong in Chennai, he was being booed and MSD chants were being made. So I think that really is the need of the hour. Would you agree? Because we do tend to have,
Well, just not in the stadium. It's, on social media. At the moment, everyone just seems to be happy to troll, happy to be negative, happy to be, it's an oxymoron when you say happy to be negative, but, we just get some perverse pleasure in throwing shit at other people. No matter what happens. With Rishabh Pant, everyone can see that he's an exceptionally talented cricketer. Yes, does his keeping need to improve a little bit? Yeah, for sure. No one's denying that, but you make allowances for certain players. Before the Australia series started, I was Uh, I was of the belief that, both Rishabh Pant and Ridhiman Saha should play. Rishabh Pant purely as a batsman and Ridhiman Saha as a keeper, because, wicket keeping is a specialized job. And Ridhi is one of the best in the world. And Pant, because of his batting ability, should play as a specialist batsman, because, he brings so much to the table as a batsman. He's got that game-changing ability, and we've seen that. So, but yeah, we are really quick to throw mud. We're really quick to bring people down. Whether it's the current lot of cricketers, or whether it's the previous lot of cricketers, or past cricketers, for some reason, what I've also noticed is we don't just praise a cricketer. We try to praise a cricketer by bringing another cricketer down. Oh, wait, hold on. Virat, what a great cricketer. Sachin didn't do this, Virat did this. You can just say Virat did this. You don't have to say Sachin didn't do this. Or you say Sachin did this, Dravid didn't do this. Or you can still say Sachin did this without saying Dravid didn't do this. You don't have to, because everyone has done something or the other to get to that level in the game. To be considered one of the all-time greats, you've got to a certain level. So you don't have to compare two cricketers. You can still appreciate, whether it's Ashwin, you don't have to compare Ashwin and say Ashwin has done this, Kumble has done that. You can appreciate Ashwin, for the phenomenal player that he is, and you can appreciate Kumble for the phenomenal player that Kumble is. But we tend to do that because, for some reason we feel that, okay, if we bring, the player that I like up by bringing the player that you like down, it somehow, makes sense.
Yeah. Rohan, I just want to ask you, as someone who's of course come through the grind, who's ticked every box possible to play for India, you played some one days for India, you played a lot of domestic cricket. Beyond the obvious, and here I'm not doing a era comparison. I'm just saying, beyond the obvious of how India's changed financially as a nation, and the confidence of the young kids. What characteristic traits do you see in, say, this team of the last 2 years to, let's say, the era where you were playing or you were winding up your career?
Well, you mentioned confidence. I think it's not just, and it's young India. Young India is confident. It's not just the young Indian cricketers. Young India across is confident. I think fearlessness. These guys play without fear, and also that stems from the fact that IPL is there. For a lot of you've got to understand that for a lot of people back then, and maybe before, international cricket was the only way you could get fame and adulation and appreciation for your skills, and B, you could make a living out of it. I mean, a lot of people think it's only about making a living, which is wrong. It's about people recognizing your skills, people recognizing the fact that hey, hang on a minute, he's a good bowler, he's a good cricketer, and IPL does that now.
Yeah.
Plus the other fear, the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown isn't also there because when you're playing back in the day, when you were playing domestic cricket, you only saw the international players on TV, and you heard stories about them. Oh, hold on a minute, this guy Shoaib Akhtar bowls so quick. Brett Lee bowls so quick. Shane Warne turns it a mile. Mark Waugh has the most elegant cover drive. You only saw, you saw it on TV, and then you heard stories about it. But now you've actually played against them or with them before you play international cricket.
As much as people made this whole thing about Ajinkya Rahane and whether he should be the test captain, I think a lot of that fearlessness also comes from their captain, Virat Kohli, right? Like
no. So look, I think the fact is, I think not just Virat. I think you've got to look at everyone in the team management, whether it's Virat, Ravi, all of them. Ajinkya as vice captain, Ajinkya as captain. You get the feeling that the youngsters get backed a lot. They're given a lot of confidence. They get backed a lot. They're said, like, listen, go out there, do your stuff. Don't worry about the odd failure here or there. In fact, if I remember correctly, Virat did say that Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma would be given a long rope as openers at the start, and for both Shubman Gill and Rohit, that is something you want to hear. You want to hear that okay, listen, we're not going to be discarded after one or two bad games. Now, I'll give you an example. I mean, back in the day, it was very different. You take someone like Devang Gandhi. I'm going to give his example. I think he's played maybe 3 or 4 test matches. I can't really remember exactly how many. But he, in 2 test matches in India, he got a 75 and an 88 against New Zealand. Then he went to Australia. In that first test, he was dismissed cheaply in both innings, and he never played a test after that. Now, here's a guy who, after 1 bad test in Australia, was discarded. If you look at it the other way around, if he had converted that 75 and 88 into hundreds against New Zealand, just by 12 runs and 25 runs, when you're 75, whatever, 88, he converted those into hundreds, would he have been discarded for someone who's got 200s in his first 2 tests? And in the 3rd test, he doesn't get runs, he would not have been discarded. So I don't think he should have been discarded anyway, because if you scored 75 and 88 in 2 tests after 1 bad test, or maybe 2 bad tests, you can't be discarded. I don't think that would be the case right now.
Yeah.
But things were different back then. A lot of times, and this is something that I feel strongly against. I mean, back then when you would tour, say England, Australia, or South Africa, the tougher countries, the whole team would generally do badly. If you're 66 all out, or 90 all out, 120 all out, it's clear that the whole team's done badly. But who would get the axe? Who would get the chop? Always the inexperienced and the youngsters. Because the senior players had a backlog of performances to say, okay, listen, these guys can do it. But in fact, in my opinion, it should always be the other way around, where the senior players, because of the experience, should be leading from the front. Now, if the senior players haven't done it, how can you chop and axe the youngsters?
Yeah.
Where you think, okay, listen, this is your 2nd test, but in Durban you've got 2 and 6. You're clearly not up for it. It doesn't make sense. The way the selectors thought then was completely different.
Rohan, just to pick up on something which you mentioned right now, as well as in your previous segment, we're talking about you making your debut. Now, from a personal perspective, it feels like, to me, it was like 6 months ago, 2004.
Yesterday, I felt like yesterday I was 20, and suddenly I feel like now I'm 45. Like from yesterday, from 20 to 45 in one day. How the hell did that happen? So I'm with you.
I'm sitting there in the freezing winter of Boston, watching, I think, on Willow TV on some Celeron processor desktop. Here is Sunil Gavaskar's son making his debut. We're all keen to see how he goes as a batsman, but he takes this cotton ball of Andrew Simon, which has us all going, "Arey, wow!"
So, if I may interrupt, here's the point I'm making. Right? You're all keen to know how I go as a batsman, how I go as a cricketer. Now, if I was playing in this generation, as I mentioned earlier, appreciation of skill set, because I'd have been playing the IPL, you would have already known what I do. Now, if in 2004, Surya Kumar Yadav was making his debut, you would have been thinking, I want to see what Surya Kumar Yadav does. Right? But now you do know what he does. So even if he does well or he does badly, okay, wait, hold on a minute. I've seen him do well in this. I've seen him do well in that. Like, here's the thing. My Ranji Trophy average is 51. Okay. And this is not to take anything away from Amol, who's one of my closest friends. Amol's Ranji Trophy average is 51 as well. Identical. But Amol gets the tag of, one of the greatest from our domestic circuit, while I get the tag of nepotism.
Yeah.
Having the same Ranji Trophy average, I get the tag of nepotism, while he gets the tag of one of the greatest to have played the domestic game, etc. So this is my point of not, and I don't want to really compare more, but this is a point of back in the day, appreciation of skills and appreciation of what you did as a player was hardly there unless you played for India. Now
also matches weren't televised. There was no IPL, of course, being one of the IPL changed everything for
it was an absolute game changer.
I have a habit of getting back in those days because somehow
you
look at those days with certain memory, of course, which is why for me 2001 series will rank higher than what happened right now, though on all accounts. I mean, to go from 36 all out to losing key personnel every match to go at the Gabba, brilliant. But somehow you tend to, you're younger, you're romantic and that stuff. I just always want to know about that moment.
What does he say?
nothing tastes as good as nostalgia.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? Nothing
Well said.
tastes as good as nostalgia. Like, I mean, I remember going and eating a dosa at Mani's, which is where we used to eat after practice, college practice. Now I've eaten better dosas in my life than this thing than the Mani's dosa. But
Got
the
it.
flavor of nostalgia that Mani's has, I'll still go there and eat because nothing beats the taste of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why there's these two South Indian joints in Landauer Market. I still think they have the best one. I took Meha, she's like, yeah, ye kya jagah hai? But
Yeah, no,
you
no,
go there.
100%. Yeah.
No, when we went there, let me put this out for you. When we went there was not a single customer there. I think that he just put the stove on after maybe a month.
Still.
He'd
Yeah.
gone to buy vegetables to make sambar. So that's what I'm talking about. Because this
But
yeah.
that's exactly my point. Nostalgia. So like the 2001 series, 2004, whatever. Those are memories of memories for us when we were growing up. Part of it. So it's brilliant.
I've always wanted to know your shift to go across as far from where you grew up to Bengal and play there. What was that about?
So were a couple of things. I had done really well in local cricket in Mumbai, club cricket, college cricket, under-19 cricket. And the following year, I wasn't even in the Mumbai probables for the 45. That picked 45 probables, and I wasn't in the Mumbai probables. Now, I wasn't expecting to play Ranji Trophy for Mumbai the following year, but what I was definitely expecting was to be in the probables, only for the reason that, when you practice against the likes of Abhi Kuruvilla, Salil Ankola, Sairaj Bhotule, Paras Mambre, these guys, as a 18-year-old, you will improve, you will get better, you will not stagnate. Because you're practicing. Then you've got Tendulkar in the nets, you've got Manjrekar, you've got, Vinod Kambli, all these guys in the nets to guide you and, this thing. So you're making that transition and you're improving and bettering yourself as a batsman. Now, when that didn't happen, I sort of sat back and thought to myself, well, if after having such a terrific season, I'm not in the 45, I really don't have a big chance of breaking into this Mumbai 11, no matter how many runs I get. So then I said, look, I've got to, try and find another state. And as luck would have it, Bengal, there were a few Bengal stalwarts who were going to retire at that point. Ashok Malhotra, Arun Lal, and they were coming to the end of their career. So there was obviously going to be an opening in the middle order. And now this is where I count myself as privileged. A lot of people would say, the benefits of being Sunil Gavaskar's son. The benefits of being Sunil Gavaskar's son weren't on the cricket field; they were off the cricket field. As I'm going to explain to you, so when I moved to Bengal, I had an apartment to stay. And I think that's privilege because I didn't have to worry about living in a hotel, living in a hostel or accommodation or, where am I going to stay. All I could do was focus on my cricket. I could, see what I had to do, play club cricket, score runs without having, like I said, having to worry about where I needed to stay or where I was going to eat or, any of that. So that's a huge privilege. That's a huge benefit that I had. But that's where the benefit ended. A lot of people think the benefit sort of extended onto the cricket field, which it didn't. But
it can.
No, but there were benefits. Like I said, this is a definite benefit that I had. A lot of other youngsters who say were in my position would probably not have had the means to make the transition of saying going to Bengal and or would have thought twice of can we not, should we, where will I stay, what will I do, all those sort of doubts sort of creep into your mind. So I luckily didn't have to worry about that.
You were talking about pitting one cricketer against the other earlier on. We were talking about that, and no other story could have been spicier when it comes to pitting a father against his son. And in your case, did it ever happen? I mean, I'm sure it happened to you, but at what point did you feel like, yeah, why? I mean, I love this game, but gosh, these are big shoes to fill. The world's constantly going to be scrutinizing me. I am always going to be compared to Mr. Gavaskar. the senior Gavaskar. What were your thoughts around that whole issue?
No, so I think I learned and I sort of accepted pretty early on that I had to be the best that I could be.
Yeah.
Now, that could have been 200 test matches, that could have been 200 first-class games, that could have been 5 first-class games, that could have been 20 club games, 20 college games, I don't know. But I had to be the best that I could be, and that could have been at any level. I mean, you just try. And I knew that I couldn't be him because there's a reason why they say a once in a lifetime player, once in a generation player, not twice in a lifetime or twice in a generation. It's once. So I knew that, look, forget me. There have been other people who, plenty of other people who wanted to play like him and have obviously not succeeded. So just be the best that you could, be the best that I could, and see where that takes me.
Yeah. People can be cruel though in comparisons and how they talk, because I've seen this with.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, because Jamie and I were discussing this about having illustrious fathers, and I said, for you, I have seen that firsthand where they've just gone out and said, but Mr. Tom Ott is so much more handsome than you are.
Aap unke bete ho.
It's like, excuse me. So I mean, I get, like, I've kind of started understanding this whole thing and to be able to live with it. Yeah.
It's like I said, I'm even though I have an average of 51 in Ranji Trophy cricket, and I have 600s for India A and nearly 20 hundreds, where 1800s, 2 of my hundreds were chopped off, 1800s in
and
first class. I'm still apparently the face of nepotism in cricket, and I can name thousands, tens of thousands of cricketers whose record is far worse than mine. Tens and thousands of cricketers who average less than 45 in first class cricket, who have less than 600s, in India A. But they don't get the kind of flag that I do.
Yeah. I like the way, I think it was, a couple of months back, you put a troll in his place. I don't remember. Somebody was trying to get nasty with you on social media, on Twitter. And
so for me, all that really depends on what side of the bed I've gotten up, because I get trolled every day. Okay. I get trolled every day. Now, if I'm in the mood to like say something or reply, I will. If I'm like, I can't like be bothered about it today, I don't. I'll let it slide. But basically, I get trolled every day. So there's someone or the other saying something nasty about me all the time.
True.
These are the times we also live in. So
yeah.
But it's been good hearing these little insights from you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rohan.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Always fun talking to you.
Always fun, and thank you for having me.